If you don't have a system for your life and your business, there is one guarantee that you are going to face. That is that you are going to struggle, and then long term, you're ultimately going to fail, because without a framework, without a system, without a process that we can follow as business owners, then it's a guarantee that we are not going to get the results that we want long term. So inside today's video, I'm going to share with you one of the frameworks that we use inside of Legacy called the American Farmer's Path to Prosperity. It covers 5 different topics, so let's get into it. All right, guys, so the 5 different frameworks here that we're going to cover today are number 1 is going to be talking about power. Number 2 is going to be talking about production. Number 3 is going to be talking about profit. Number 4 is going to be talking about protection. And then number 5 is going to be the final one, which is all about prosperity. So jumping into power. When we're talking about power, guys, we're talking about really taking action in your life. And this isn't even in your business. This is about you as an individual. Now, inside of Legacy Farmer, you've heard me talk about this in other videos. We cover a concept and a framework called Core 4. Now, inside of this discussion of power, it consists of the first 3 concepts in that framework, which is body, being, and balance. Now, here's the deal. You can go out and want to build everything that you want inside your business and build this massive operation and things like that. But at the end of the day, if you are falling apart physically, right, and you're just not on top of things when it comes to your nutrition, you're fat, you're out of shape, you can't do things, you can't work a long time, you may be 50, but you look like you're 70 because you just haven't taken care of your body. This is the typical thing that happens inside the ag industry. But all those things, though, they're going to impact your ability to build the business to the level that you want it to get to. So body is obviously an extremely important part here, and that's why it's the first step here when it comes to power or taking action. The next one is going to be being, and being is all about your connection to God or your higher power, whatever that is for you, but also too the stories that consume your mind on a daily basis. And if there's one thing I've learned out of the past 10 years of being an entrepreneur, if you're not controlling the stories up here, they could run you into ruin. And that is a very painful place for a lot of business owners to get to, but a majority of them are there right now. And a majority of them are stuck there for years on end. And if you don't have tools, systems, and strategies, and really just the training in place to overcome this stuff and be intentional, those stories are going to hold your business back at a massive, massive level. Now, the next piece here is balance, and balance is all about your relationship with your spouse and your relationship with your kids and any other key or important relationships inside of your life. Now, I don't have to tell you this if you're a man and a business owner like me, but if your marriage is falling apart, or if my marriage is falling apart, is that going to impact my ability to operate at a high level and lead my team inside of Legacy Farmer? Absolutely, right? I may be here physically right now doing this video, but mentally I'm still in my house working on things with my wife or trying to figure stuff out there. This is the impact here. This is the challenge that we see when people do not have and handle their important relationships in their life because they're so focused on the business or things like that. That one problem inside of balance can burn down all the other areas of your life. And I want you to see how all these are connected as well, because it's something that we call the pain web inside of Legacy Farmer, where whether you have a problem in body, being, balance, or business, it is going to cascade or impact one of the other areas as well. So a lot of people, they come into Legacy Farmer thinking that they have business problems. Reality is they may have body, being, or balance problems. And a lot of them that we deal with inside the ag industry is definitely a being issue and no connection to God or their purpose, and then also to the negative stories that consume their mind. All right, now let's move into the next concept here inside of this framework, which is called production. And production is all about making money. So we have power and taking action. Power leads to production and or making money. Now, if all those first 3 areas of my life, body, being, balance, and are on point, then am I going to be more motivated and more clear on exactly how I'm going to go produce and make money inside of my business? Absolutely you are. Now, when it comes to this phase here and really the subsections of it, the first one that you're going to have when it comes to making money inside of your business is marketing. And if you have a grain farming operation, obviously this is going to be marketing your crop or your commodity, but some of you have service-based businesses inside the ag industry as well. How are you marketing yourself? How are you marketing your business? Do people even know you exist? Are you taking advantage of the channels like I am right now on YouTube or whatever platform we're posting this on, because there's so many of them now? Are you getting your message out there, right? And that's a huge thing for a lot of people. There's so many people that have the ability to be massively successful, but when it comes to marketing themselves or their product, they absolutely suck. The next one after this, though, is advertising. And advertising, the difference between marketing and advertising for me is marketing is about your message or your video. Advertising is putting dollars behind the message as well. So a lot of you guys will see my ads on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is there. That's us putting money behind a message that really matters to us internally. And ultimately, this produces leads for us. This produces the ability for us to find new customers and be able to bring them into Legacy Farmer and do what we are here to do, which is to serve people and help them master their finances and build a great business that they can pass on to the next generation. Now, the next phase here is going into sales. So we have marketing, we have advertising. That leads us into sales. Now, what's your sales process? Now, if you have a service-based business, obviously this business is about selling seed or selling crop insurance, whatever that is for you. Even from a grain farming standpoint, how are you selling your operation and how you do things to potential landowners that you'd like to rent from one day, right? How are you getting yourself in front of these people? Because there's got to be a sales process there. There's got to be a system or strategy in order to get your name in front of people that you would ultimately be interested in maybe renting ground from one day or buying ground from one day. And a lot of people inside the ag industry, they hear about these opportunities, but they don't sell themselves. They don't market themselves. They don't advertise themselves. They don't really talk about what they do inside their operation and why they would be a good steward of this piece of ground for this landowner or something like that. And so they miss these opportunities, and that's what separates the ones that continue to grow every year and then the ones that they just never grow, and they ultimately get to a place where they're like, what am I doing all this for? Now, the last piece here is systems. So inside of production or making money, we have marketing, advertising, sales, and ultimately leads to systems. You have to systemize the first three parts there as much as you possibly can so that you get things done, and then that'll allow us the time, space, and capacity to move on into the next phase here, which is going to be the profit phase. All right, guys, now the profit phase is going to be all about growing money. So we have power, which is about taking action. We had production, which is about making money. And now we have profit, which is about growing that money. Now, the thing is once you get all the systems and everything figured out underneath the production there, that leads you into being able to start to grow the business, right? You got to get those first foundational systems established there and get your marketing in place and all these types of things here. But the first phase here of profit is people. Right now, all of a sudden, since we have the marketing systems in place and we're good on a production standpoint and making money, now we have the cash flow and the capital to be able to hire people in order to delegate responsibilities from you and get you into a place where you can really be the visionary or leader of the team and where your business is going long term. I've seen this and experienced this even in my own personal business here, and I think every business owner does, but you have to figure out production or growing money before you can really move into profit and being able to hire people and things like that. Now, the next phase here after people is processes, right? You have to document everything that you are doing inside of the business, because it's great if you can hire people, but if you are building a centralized operation, meaning everybody has to go through you for any questions, your phone's ringing 24/7, they're calling you on the radio, whatever that is, you're not really building a business, right? You're just building a job that's just requiring more responsibility there. And so one thing we always teach our customers inside a legacy farmer to do is we don't want to build a centralized operation. We want to build a decentralized operation so that everybody on that team has access to the process or the knowledge or whatever information they're looking for, to where they're not bugging you 24/7 as the business owner. That is the only way you're going to build and scale a business, is you got to get these processes in place. Now, processes ultimately leads to performance. Now we have detailed processes here that we are tracking each one of our customers or one of our team members on, and how they're performing ultimately inside of that seat that they held inside of our organization. And that's the one thing here too, when it comes to performance standards here, that's why you got to get things documented so you can actually establish these performance standards, which is going to lead to the benefits or the bonuses that you pay people, and just really get them in tune with what are the overall goals of the operation here and how does my seat and my purpose here fit into that. And that's where you can gauge the performance from. All right, now the last phase inside of profit is something that we call playbooks, right? And literally building out these processes and making them comprehensive enough to where you have a detailed laid out playbook for each seat inside of the operation, so that if you hire on somebody new, they literally have a playbook that steps in, and let's say they're operations manager or something like that. You've already documented everything. You've already proven everything. You have a proven playbook here now that this person literally just needs to go through, and that's how they can be set up to win inside of their seat. But a lot of people, they don't get to this point, right? When it comes to making these playbooks, which is ultimately going to hold you back from being able to continue to scale and grow. And guys, everything inside of profit or growing money, none of this stuff is easy, right? You're dealing with people, you're trying to get all this information out of your head. It's not easy, but that's why in Legacy Farmer, we've built out a proven system to start getting this information out so that people can go from building a centralized operation, if they do have employees, to a decentralized operation where the business runs without them, or at least around them, to where they can again hold themselves in the most valuable seat inside the operation, which is that visionary seat or leadership seat of the overall company. All right, guys, so after profit, we now move into protection. So think about this, right? We have power, taking money, we have production, making money, we have profit or growing money. And now once you have those things in place, it's like, man, now we're finally able to enter the protection conversation, and we're going to talk about keeping the money that you have made. And this is where we get into Bookkeeping is going to be the first point here. Do you have systems set up here so that you're tracking your books at a detailed level? Now, inside of Legacy Farmer, we're tracking the books, but from a business owner perspective. You also need to be tracking books from the accountant's perspective as well, using QuickBooks or something like that. Now, we have a company that we refer all of our customers over to called Ag Accounting Services. These women have proven to add a ton of value, not only into bookkeeping, but also into tax planning with our customers over the years as well. If you want to connect with them, just go to agaccountingservices.com and you can schedule a call with that team. But bookkeeping is obviously a really important place, which then leads us into tax planning. Now, without bookkeeping, there's no way for you to tax plan. Now, the traditional farmer mindset is I'm going to take in a box of receipts to my accountant on December 15th and expect them to give me a tax plan for the end of the year. And now I have 2 weeks to go implement it. Guys, that's not a strategy. You are guaranteed to fail long term and lose tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars when it comes to your taxes by implementing that strategy that way. It's not a recipe you want to implement inside of your business here. And so you have to have the bookkeeping in place, and then that allows you to start tax planning appropriately, which, just so you know, tax planning for farmers needs to start in October before the year's over, right? And that's what all of our customers do, again, utilizing Ag Accounting Services. And because of that, man, they're on top of their numbers. They know exactly where they're going to be at the end of the year, way before it's even over, right? And there's just that level of confidence and clarity there that they get as a result. All right, after tax planning now, we get into insurance planning. So think about having all this structure and this organization inside of your operation here to where now all of a sudden you can actually start implementing strategies in every area, right? So from bookkeeping, now we can implement a strategy. Tax planning, implement a strategy. When we get those numbers together and we have your business owner numbers, and this is what we use inside of our software called Farmer Metrics that helps our customers get that structured and organized. So when they're looking at their numbers, they're looking at it from a business owner perspective, and it's telling them what they need to do and really simplifying all those big decisions. But once you have all the numbers in place, guys, now all of a sudden you can implement an actual strategy with your crop insurance agent, for example, right? And have detailed numbers laid out, know what your break even and break even yield and break even prices are per field or per crop, however you want to implement that. All of our customers are doing that inside of our software called Farmer Metrics, and then just sending it over to their crop insurance agent. And now all of a sudden they're saving money on premium and still getting the same level of coverage because they're giving their crop insurance agent the level of information and knowledge on their operation so they can actually put together a game plan there, right? And that's just a completely different experience from what people typically get when it comes to working with their insurance agents as well. All right, now the last phase inside of protection is going to be all about business structure, right? Now, when it comes to this, guys, a lot of people inside the ag industry, they're still running their operations as like sole proprietorships, for example. Now, that's a massive legal liability. And I'm not talking just like small operations running as sole props. I'm talking about $10 million to $20 million plus operations running as sole props. There's just massive legal liability there, but also too, not just from a legal standpoint, but from a transition or passing things on to the next generation, there's also going to be a lot of chaos there as well, which is why the next phase here is business structure and getting your entity set up, potentially getting a holding company set up, and then getting your estate plan done as well, which we'll talk more about that in the next section here. But you need to have this really just nice tree of a chart here and really be able to see from a comprehensive level how each business is working, how they're working together, and really how all the money flows through all your businesses. Again, it's going to benefit you from a legal and liability standpoint, but also too, just for clarity as a business owner to know how everything is moving. I've seen it in my own personal life, but also too with our customers over the years. This is the first thing that we do with them inside of their business when they come in is getting that business structure. So now all of a sudden we have the clarity into their numbers and the financial health of each individual business. All right, guys, so we've talked about power, production, profit, protection, and now ultimately that leads us to prosperity. And this is where we're talking about leaving the money or leaving the wealth that you've worked to build up, your entire life and things like that. So there's really two simple phases to this prosperity section here. The first one is going to be estate planning, right? Now, when I'm talking about estate planning, I'm talking about actually getting the documents put together, right? Now, a lot of people, when they think about estate planning that I've learned just in farming and ranching, they think about that and they think all they need is a will. Guys, a will is just one page or one part of really a 6-part estate plan, right? You have your living trust, you have all these other things that are involved there. The will is going to be one of them and pretty important there. But when I'm talking about your estate plan, I'm talking about actually meeting with an attorney, which we have one that we refer all of our customers over to as well, that works with all these big ranches and everything up in Montana, just has a ton of experience there. But you got to have the documentation in place. Now, when it comes to legacy planning, which is the second phase, to me, these are two different things, because when it comes to legacy planning, that's the words in the documents. And what I mean by that, how are you going to pass on assets, right? How are you going to pass on responsibility? How are you going to determine who's going to take over and run the farm operation? What type of seat or role are they going to have? What amount of assets are they going to inherit? And maybe even at what age and what time frames are they going to get those assets? These are the things that we need to be considering and thinking about, that a majority of people, they just kick the can down the road. They don't want to do this. And for a lot of people, especially if you have young kids, this is a weight on you. I cannot tell you the relief I felt as a husband, as a father, father once we had our entire estate and legacy plan done back in 2017. Because if I die tomorrow, everything's set up, everything's taken care of, right? So imagine putting your family through this experience where a lot of family farms have gone through this, where grandpa dies, had no estate plan set up, and now the kids are going to be fighting and battling over what's supposed to happen inside the operation. Now, I understand why grandparents don't want to do that, but ultimately, when we're not willing to make those decisions, your kids are going to pay the ultimate price. And ultimately, too, it kind of taints your legacy a little bit as well, because when they think about these assets or things like that, they're thinking about the struggle that they went through after you died, not the happy or good experiences with you when you were alive. You know what I mean? Right? And that's one of the tougher things here that a lot of people, they don't want to talk about, but that's why we make it such an important part of what we do in Legacy Farmer, is making sure we're helping people out with one, business structure, getting all these systems, knowing their numbers, having the structure, having the organization, because once you have that stuff there, now you can lead into the estate and legacy planning conversation, which is arguably the most important part of everything that we are building. All right, guys. So hopefully, you seeing this process shows that we do a lot more than just on business stuff, right? For example, the power, the body being balance areas, guys, those are so critical. And 9 times out of 10, those are the anchors holding back the business, right? So we got to have all the stuff in business, totally get that. But a majority of the issues that people are dealing with are in those other 3 areas. And that's why we have to also work on those as well. And that's why we call what we do in Legacy Farmer comprehensive coaching or comprehensive consulting, because it's a mixture of the two there. But just so we can add value to people's lives, not just their business, but their entire life as well, which we've seen have a compounding effect into their marriage, their relationship with their kids, their spirituality, like everything across the board here. So if you're running a farm operation, and number one, you want to take action, make money, grow money, keep the money, and then the most important one, which is leave the money to the next generation and set them up for success, then now is the time to take action. Click the link below, book a call with our team, and let's start taking the steps towards you securing the financial future and legacy of your farm operation.